let's review the Midwest states. The Midwest states will be on the quiz that you're gonna take next week. I think it's on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken.
North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, South Dakota, Kansas, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan.
Right, let's do it again, but let's stop doing the draggy thing, okay?
North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan.
But not so fast I can't understand what you're saying. Okay? Alright, make sure you know those. If you do not know those, you need to study them. They're in the back of your book in the Midwest region. One page will have the names of the states on them, and flip the page to quiz yourself on it. Okay? Alright, so starting on page 203, that's where everybody should be. Alright, let's begin. In 1907, an American dictionary. Remember, he already wrote the Bluebeck Speller. Those of us that read it on Thursday, if you weren't here, you need to make sure you catch up and read that. In 1807, Mr. Webster began the biggest job of his life, that of writing an American dictionary. How tired he must have become of using an English dictionary. He was not an Englishman, he was an American. Yet there was no dictionary with such American words as Congress, Declaration of Independence, or Senate. There were hundreds of other American words that had never been written in a dictionary. Noah Webster grew tired of many English spellings. He thought plow, P-L-O-U-G-H, should be spelled P-L-O-W. And honor, H-O-N-O-U-R, should be spelled H-O-N-O-R. He made changes like this when he wrote the American Dictionary of the English Language. By the way, and to this day, countries that are more related to England, including England itself, they spell words like honor, H-O-N-O-U-R still. They spell the word color, like what color is that? They spell it C-O-L-O-U-R, just like honor ends in O-U-R, so does the word color. Okay, so that's some of the differences you will see. So if you ever see the word color spelled C-O-L-O-U-R, you can know that whoever wrote it was probably British or from some country like Canada. My daughter-in-law is from Canada, and they are related more closely to England, so they do the same thing as England, C-O-L-O-U-R. All right. He wrote definitions for each of these words and many, many more. He studied 20 different languages in order to write the best definitions for each word. So how many languages did it take? Say it louder.
20.
20 languages. Nearly 20 years passed before Noah Webster wrote the definition to the last word in his dictionary. You can imagine his excitement when he had finished his huge task. The first printing of the American Dictionary of the English Language contained over 70,000 words. 12,000 of them were new words. Many of these words and definitions had never been written in a dictionary. All right, so how many years did it take him? 20. How many languages did he have to do? 20. 20 years and 20 languages. Make sure you're paying attention. Please keep that on if you're supposed to. Mom says to, you need to. Okay? All right, so think about it. Are there words today that would not be in this dictionary?
No. Yes.
Yes, because he wouldn't know words like what? Give me some words that he would not have known.
Enthusiasm?
I'm pretty sure he would have known enthusiasm. Why wouldn't he have known enthusiasm?
Blue.
Say it again.
Blue.
Why wouldn't he not have known blue? You guys are not thinking clearly. You need to be thinking about modern things that he would not have had a clue about. Leanna. Computer. They didn't have computers back then, so would he have put the word computer in the dictionary? Allison.
A phone.
All right, telephone. That did not come around when he was writing it. Later it came about. A phone, telephone.
FIFA.
What?
You would not know FIFA. It's a game.
Okay. most names of games aren't in the dictionary either. And FIFA is not actually a word, it is initials standing for something. Okay? Grant?
Mouse pad.
Okay, I'm pretty sure he would have known test and math.
No, mouse pad. It's a game too.
Can you stop naming games?
It's not a game. It's a mouse pad. Like a mouse.
Okay, he would have had mouse and he probably would have had pad, but it would not have mean what it means today. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying now, mouse pad. Okay, but he would have had mouse, he would have had pad. They just wouldn't have mean you, like what you know of as a mouse pad, it would not have had that definition. And it would not have been together, they would have been separate. Okay, put your hands down, let's keep reading. A changing book. Was the American dictionary finished forever? Noah Webster realized that the dictionary would always change. More people were studying science, new science words would have to be added, just like what we were just talking about. Turn the page. With the passing years, new words would be made. Immigrant, bomber, and jet. All of these plus thousands more have been and will be added with the passing of time. The American dictionary is never finished. Over 150 years have passed since Noah Webster's death. Many Americans have almost forgotten the work that Noah Webster did. But in many American homes, on a bookshelf, or in digital form, there is still a gentle reminder of the hard work of a Christian man who did his best to give Americans their own dictionary. Stop and think. The dictionary changes every few years as new words are added to it. Other books may change too. However, there is one book that will stay the same forever and ever, and this is the Word of God, the one book we can depend on. Read the Bible says, "For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled." Matthew 5:18. All right, and you probably don't understand what's a jot or what's a tittle. But think of like dotting an I or crossing a T. Okay, that's just their language, the way it was written, when the Bible was written, the language it was written in. Some of the parts of the letters are called jots or tittles, okay? So think about that the Bible doesn't change. That's basically what God is saying in that verse. The Bible will never change. And there are people that try to change it because they want to take salvation out of the Bible. That would be Satan's doings, wouldn't it? Because he wants the Bible to not have the plan of salvation in it. All right, modern marvels. Am I supposed to be reading that? Yep. Let's keep reading. Modern marvels. Can you believe there were dictionaries over 4,000 years ago? Stone tablets were found in the country known today as Syria. Most dictionaries in ancient times were written to translate words from one language to another. The first dictionary with only English words and definitions was written in 1604 in England. Later, Samuel Johnson wrote the biggest and most trusted English language dictionary called A Dictionary of the English Language. Noah Webster's dictionary was the first totally American dictionary. Top of the next page. All right, the word they have there is unity. Notice how they've written it so you can know how to pronounce it. And number one definition for it, the N means it's a noun. Unity is a noun, and then it has an N, that means it's a noun. Number one, the state of being one or oneness. That's the definition for unity. This is a definition of the word unity according to Noah Webster. He wanted to unify America and to teach Americans the correct spellings and pronunciations of words. America was developing its own style of spelling and saying words. Webster's Blueback Speller was the most popular American book in its day. Noah Webster was paid only a half cent, a half a penny, for each book sold. He did not make much money off that book, did he? Mm-hmm. As he did in the Speller, he often used Bible verses to explain the meanings of words in his dictionary. You need to turn around and sit down and pay attention to what I'm reading. Get your eyes on it. Now there are almost more dictionaries than you can count. There are dictionaries of all types. Some dictionaries translate words from one language to another, like from Spanish to English or English to Spanish. Some dictionaries, special kinds of dictionaries, define words for people who study math, science, law, medicine, and even Shakespeare. We have more words than ever before. Words like Google and superfood have been added in recent times. We no longer need to buy a paper copy of a dictionary. All we have to do is search online for any information about a word. Spell check automatically corrects spelling on computers and phones. Even with today's computer resources, many Americans still go to Webster's dictionary when they need help with spelling words or finding definitions. Since most modern dictionaries don't include Bible references, Christians still enjoy using his book today. Spelling bee competitions can thank Noah Webster for writing the book they use as their original reference book. Although computers have allowed us to find definitions and spellings much more easily than before, Noah Webster's dictionary will always be a valuable source of information. His book has never stopped being printed, so you can still find a copy of Noah Webster's dictionary. I'm sure they have added more words to it. All right, comprehension check. When Noah Webster was a young boy, why couldn't he read as much as he wanted to? This was one what we read on Thursday, so those of you that weren't here don't get to do it. Yes.
They didn't have a lot of books.
Yeah, people back then did not have a lot of books. There wasn't a local library to go to check out books usually. And even in school, they didn't have very many books, did they? Because we learned about that too. What 3 books would you find in a colonial school? Give me one of them, Elise.
A Bible for the older kids.
Yeah, the older children would read from a Bible. Primer, that was what the younger children would read from.
Spelling book.
And a spelling book. That's all. And they had to share. They had one copy of each. One Bible, one primer, one speller, and they had to share it. And that's why Noah Webster set out to change that. And he made the first American spelling book, which became known as the Blue-Backed Speller, because it had a blue cover, a blue cloth cover. What was Noah's father willing to do so that Noah could have a college education?
Sell the house.
Not the house.
The farm.
The farm, the whole farm. So sell the farm. He was willing to do that if he had to. What war was America fighting while Noah was in college? Leanna.
The War for Independence.
The War for Independence. Pay attention. The War for Independence. Why did Mr. Webster write the Blue-Backed Speller? Allison?
They didn't have to share it.
Right. So there would be more textbooks. He didn't want them to have to share. I mean, because how is that really good for them to have to share? I mean, they can't all look at it at the same time, right? So is that going to help them to learn to read better if they can't follow along as somebody else reads? All right. And what was the biggest job? The biggest job of Noah Webster's life? Joey.
An author basically, like writing in a dictionary.
Yeah. Well, his biggest job was the American Dictionary of English Language. That was the biggest job he ever undertook, to write that particular book. So it's don't say author. You need to tell me writing the American Dictionary of the English Language. Okay? That's the biggest job he undertook. How long did it take him? Is that the next question?
Yes.
Yeah. How many years did it take him?
20.
20 years. And I'm going to ask this, it's not here, but I'm going to ask it. And how many languages did he have to study?
20.
20 languages, 20 years. It's pretty easy to remember because it's the same. Why did Americans need their own dictionary? Why did they need that that dictionary that he wrote?
Because they didn't have to
You want somebody else to help you? I think you know. I just think you started out saying it in a negative way and it'd be better to do it in a positive way.
Because they needed it, because it's better to learn, so they could follow along with the other kids when they
Oh, you're thinking about the Blue-Backed Speller. We're talking about the dictionary now.
because they weren't in England anymore.
And so he put in what kind of words?
American.
Yes, there were words that had to do with America that would not be in that English dictionary because it was written over in England, so they wouldn't have these American words. All right, the American Spelling Book became known as the Blueback Speller. Why? Who hasn't answered yet? Riley.
Because it was blue.
Yeah, had a blue cloth cover, so it became known as the Blueback Speller. All right, you can put that away.